there's no way to learn from your mistake unless you admit it.
Exactly.
And so, and it was very satisfying to know that like the darkest, deepest parts of me are out in the open, but everyone still loves me. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that you'll be surprised when you open up to people and share the darkest, deepest parts of you, and they still love you.
Hi, welcome to Patta Empires. My name is Patta. I'm the immigrant, a restaurant owner, a mother, wife, and the Empress. I didn't always feel this way. I was so lost in the past. This podcast will show you how I built and continue to build my empires. If you ever feel lost but you know you meant for more, I'm here to show you the outlook and skill for you to build your own empires. Welcome back to Patta Empire and welcome back, Talmage.
The second time around,
I'm
woo!
so excited to have him here. He flew from
Utah.
Utah.
Yeah.
I don't even know where you're from. So he flew from Utah and come visit me in Astoria. So it's just like, let's take this opportunity to do some podcast.
Yeah.
And so when like last time when I go to Utah and do podcast with him, like I basically drink like 5 coffee a day, right? And every time I would send Kim like, Kim, can you go get me coffee? And I would ask him. So that was the first time we met, and we didn't have a lot of conversation. Or every single time when Kim go get coffee for me, and I was like, Talmage, you want coffee? And was like, no, I'm not. I don't want coffee. And I was like, what's wrong with you? You don't take my coffee. And then when he came visit me, and then I take him to tie me up. By the way, how tie me up food?
Oh, so good. I love that food. The wings, the cow soy,
Mm-hmm.
so good.
So I took him to tie me up, and what happened is I start to like, you need to try the Thai iced tea here, and he was like, no, I'm not drinking teas, and I was like, you must try it. Let's just have a little bit. If you don't like it, it's fine. And then Casey was bringing him Thai tea and water, and he didn't touch the tea at all until like the end of the meal, and was like, okay, we need to have this conversation. Like, why don't you drink the tea?
Yeah.
And he just started like, I just don't drink the tea. And he don't tell me why until like you start to tell me like, you don't drink tea, you don't drink coffee, you don't drink alcohol, don't do any drugs, like super clean. And I'll start to like, oh my gosh, how do you being clean as a teenager and you are 21, 26?
I'm 26. Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
26, and I mean, I want to interview him about like how you have a perfect life without doing anything.
Yeah.
Tell us about your story.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very religious home. My family, we are LDS, so some people nickname us the Mormons. And as a lot of people know, Mormons don't drink,
Oh,
don't smoke, don't um like have coffee or tea or anything like that. And so,
okay. When you talk about moments,
yeah, that's
okay,
our
now I get it. What is that about?
yeah, that's like a nickname that is given to us because of one of our books of scripture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I grew up in this really religious house that had these rules, and as I grew up, to be honest, I was a pretty dang obedient kid already. I was like well behaved. If you met me as a kid, you'd be like, oh man, that's like such a well behaved little boy.
You're still a well-behaved little boy.
Well, yeah, my parents taught me well, that's for sure.
Wow.
My parents are amazing, and I owe like everything to them. They, yeah, I just feel very grateful for them and the
Oh
things
my
they
gosh,
taught
like
me.
I mean I wish I could grow my kids this way though. But my 3-year-old already start like grab somebody head, go to the war and like knock somebody already.
Actually, my dad put me in jujitsu because I wasn't tough enough.
Oh
So that's
really?
good that your daughter
Okay,
has a
okay.
little tough side to her. And so, yeah, he saw me and he's just like, "Ah, my son's a little wimpy. I need to put him in jujitsu." And so I did jujitsu for a
Did your
while.
dad thought that when you're gonna grow up and become a gay or something?
No, I don't think so. He never mentioned anything like that. He like I was always like a I always had like big crushes on girls and stuff, but I never told anybody.
Really?
I was very secretive, even though like my brother would date a lot and stuff. Up until I was like 15. That's when I was like, oh yeah,
Okay,
girls
somebody,
are great.
everyone has 15 story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was 15, that's when I started telling everybody all of my crushes and stuff. And so
Aww.
yeah, and so yeah, like growing up, honestly,
So you have a perfect life growing up.
in a
Have
lot
you
of ways, I did.
have you ever beat somebody up or be beat up?
Yeah. Oh, great story, actually. I had a crush on a girl named Allie, and there's this
Hi,
kid.
Alice.
Hi, Allie. She's married now, but she there was a kid in the school, and he was a jerk. He was a total jerk. Um, I don't know why. Well, he had a tough childhood, so. But we're at a party, and he's making fun of her, and I'm like, and he's poking her, and she's like, "Dude, just leave me alone." And me being the little romantic self I am, I'm
Aww.
like, "Leave her alone." And
And
so,
then what happened?
and he got mad at me. He's like, "Oh, you think you're a tough guy, huh?" And I was like, "No, man, just leave her alone." And
Did he beat you up?
he tried to. So it was actually my older brother's 16th birthday party. I was 14. No, I was 13. This
Uh-huh.
kid was 14, a
Uh-huh.
lot bigger than me. And we're going outside to play night games, like capture the flag. And as I'm walking away, he tackles me from behind,
Uh-huh.
and he starts like, and nobody else is there, so it's just me and him, and he's kind of beating me up, but I did jujitsu. My dad put me in jujitsu, and so what I did
That's
is
good.
I was able to like flip him around, even though he's bigger than me, and he's doing cheat moves. He's like bending my fingers and stuff, and like
Aw.
grabbing my
There's no
cheek.
point to be a big guy.
Yeah, yeah. But then I was able to flip him around and I put him in an arm bar. That's where his arm is like this, and it's like you could break his arm that way. And my brother comes out to see where I am, and he
Mm-hmm.
sees me holding this guy in an arm bar, and he's like, "Hey, everybody, come here! Talmage just beat up Nick!" And everybody in the party comes, and everyone's like, "What the heck?" And Nick gets mad, and then I like let him go, and he like runs off, and I
Oh
was just
my
like,
gosh.
I felt like the hero.
Is Nick still alive?
He is still alive. He is still alive. Oh man, so I did get into some fights, and so that was fun.
Did your parents know about that?
Yeah, my dad like was so proud of me.
Oh, okay. Because I would be proud of my kid too. Like my kid would come to school and this girl was rude to me. It was like, okay, tomorrow go home and beat her up. She's gonna leave you alone.
Yeah, yeah,
And Nick leave you alone.
yeah. Nick left me alone from that point on. He would talk trash behind my back, but he
Who
left me
cares?
alone. Yeah, but who cares?
Who cares?
And so like I did have an amazing life, and honestly, I didn't feel like I missed out on anything, even though like I had strict parents.
Do you ever drink?
I never drank.
Do you when you hang out with your friends around you drinking?
Um, I didn't have very many friends that would drink because I grew up in a very religious community.
Oh, okay. That's why you
So
can be strict at all
that
time.
definitely helped. Um, but like I definitely did have some friends that did. I had friends that smoked and did drugs and everything.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't a crazy temptation for me. So I never felt like I missed out. And I felt like I lived a very like good childhood. I was able to join a lot of clubs, be in a lot of sports.
Perfect life.
Yeah. So it's and
Okay, what
so
is your interesting part of your life?
yeah. So a lot of LDS people they go on missions at after high school. I did. Amazing. I I loved it. I served in Scotland and Ireland, and it was amazing. But when I got home, I was on my own for the first time
So you move out
in a
from your
while.
house?
Yeah, I moved out from my house, and I kind of lost my purpose because my entire time growing up, I was just like, I'm working towards a mission.
So I want to understand the missions before we go to that point. Like,
Yeah.
what is really your missions? Like, I mean,
So
in terms of religions.
yeah, so when teenagers go out on missions, basically what they do is they go out and they teach people about our gospel. We just go out, we knock on doors, we talk to them, we try to give service, and then we tell them
Do the
about our
yards.
gospel. Yeah, do their yards. Like I did that so much. And like even if they never want to listen to us, we'll still give service because it's just the right thing to do to help one another out. And and so we just teach them about the gospel, and then we're like, "Hey, and it's up to you. You can ask God. Um, don't let us tell you what's right and wrong. Ask God and stuff." And so that's what I grew up really looking forward to. And my dad went on a mission, his dad went on a mission, and like, yeah, it was just part of our family. And so I was so
That's
stoked.
so great.
And yeah, it's 2 years.
Oh,
And
really?
I only called my parents 4 times those two
Really?
years. Back then it was a little bit more strict than it is now. You can call every week now. But back then it was a little bit more strict. But
How old were you?
I was 19.
I don't know if I can let my 19 years old go permission for 2 years without calling me.
Yeah, I actually got that a lot. People were like, "Why would you do that?" But it was. I've never been one to get homesick though. There are missionaries that definitely get homesick and it's hard. Um, but I never got homesick.
So you're very strict in your own missions.
Yeah, yeah. So as a missionary, you don't watch movies. You don't. Um, you live even cleaner life than I
Than
did than
before.
before. Like basically what you do is you wake up, you work out, you study the gospel for 2 hours, and then you go out and you serve people and teach people for the next 11 hours. And then you go home, you plan for the next day, go to sleep.
Are they like making you like pray or meditating or dress different than somebody else?
Yeah, so I probably prayed like 7 times a day on my mission. Um and then yeah, we dress different. We would dress in white shirts and ties.
This
I'm
is
sure a lot of people.
interesting story. I never
Yeah.
heard about that.
Yeah, it was so fun. Like I'm sure a lot of people have seen the Mormon missionaries. White shirt, tie, little black name tag right here. Um and so yeah, we live a very like it's supposed to be set apart.
What about if like you come to me and was like, no, I don't want to talk to you.
Oh, we would just say, "No worries. Have a great day. Is there anything we could do for you? Like, do you need help with anything?" Um,
I don't.
okay, you don't need help with anything.
No, I'm good.
Do you need help bringing groceries in? Do you need help if
No,
I
leave
see
me
you
alone.
mopping your floor? Oh, that would happen all the time. Don't even worry. I served in a place where people would sometimes be hostile towards you, but you just learn to like let it just roll right off your back.
How do you I feel like this is very interesting. Like how do you how many houses you stop a day?
Oh, there's a time in my mission where we didn't have anybody to teach and nobody wanted our service either. And so I was knocking for probably 10 to 11 hours every day. I could probably knock on
These people
25 doors an
throws
hour.
are you really? And
Yeah.
then what like how do you accept the fact that people will always say no to you?
Um, have you ever heard of the book Go for No? It's a sales book. Basically, they turn it into a game. Instead of always trying to get the yes, it's like, see how many no's you can get. And so
Ooh, that's a great thing.
yeah, like search for failure. Like you're going to fail, so might as well fail faster and learn. And when people reject you, they're not rejecting you. They're not yeah, sure they're rejecting the gospel, but it's not because this is just a missionary's
Mm-hmm.
mindset. It's not because they're bad, they hate you or anything like that. It's just because they don't know what they don't know, and that's fine.
So this is basically same story that I have gone when I do Amway. Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like same way. Like besides knocking the door, I'm gonna start adding friends on Facebook and it was like start recruiting them. Like, do you want to do a business? Blah 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 blah. And it was like we have a very interesting business without telling people that we're doing Amway because
Yeah.
people are so scared of the word Amway.
Yeah.
Talking out loud, this business model is great. You just need to have your purpose and your passionate about doing something in life, like do something that you could be proud of. And I'm not talking that Amway is not great, but it's exactly the same thing. I'm gonna be like asking people, you wanna come join me on Zoom meetings, and if they come on Zoom meeting, then we can start telling you them step by step to like Amway show up, and a lot of people would like shut it down.
Yeah. That sounds so familiar. So familiar.
But
Oh
I
man.
don't think like, I mean, I don't understand sale that much before, and I don't understand like a lot of time I get personal when people start to like say no and no and no and no, and I was like, are you really?
Yeah. It's like, ow, why? I felt like that a lot in the beginning of my mission because I was a very sensitive kid. And so I would have people come up to me and like yell at me in the street and stuff.
Did
And
you
like,
yell back to them?
no, no. You're
You're not
you're
allowed
supposed to
to.
you're supposed to be the bigger person. And so I wanted okay. Sometimes I would get into like little arguments, like they call it Bible bashing. And then I quickly realized that didn't help anybody. It doesn't change anybody's mind, and it just makes everybody not like each other more. And so I was just like, oh, you know what? If they're not interested, that's fine. If they want to come up and tell me horrible things about myself and like say really terrible things to me, that's fine. I'm going to let them because anything I say back is just going to give them fuel. And
Make it
yeah.
causes in fire.
Yeah, and so like if you have haters, Gary Vee was talking about this. If you have haters, just like forget about them because the more you pay attention to them, the more ammo you give them. And
So yes, I feel like the my belief about haters, like I don't get it. Like why we was keep talking about hater. I don't have a lot of hater by the ways, but um then they might then just might not like me. They just like don't have anywhere to go besides like going on my Facebook and start to bragging. But like I mean like if you really have a haters, it's just because you are somebody that somebody look up to.
yeah.
And on top of that, the only thing for you to stop haters is just be successful.
Mm-hmm. Greatest revenge is massive success.
Exactly.
And Winston Churchill also said, "It you have enemies, good. That means you stood up for something sometime in your life."
Oh, I need more enemy then.
Yeah, yeah. So if you
Okay.
get anything out of this podcast, make enemies.
Make enemies. Those are people. Have you ever heard about this? Like, thank you to all my haters because you're the person that make me reach my full potentials.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. It's something about people's disbelief in you that you're like, no, I'm not gonna put up with that. And
But
so,
there's a lot of people would be like, hey, you know,
mm-hmm.
I have a lot of hater. My life is sucks. I won't be successful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this hater not the topic. The next topic is after you come back from
Yeah.
missionary.
So after I came back as a missionary, as you guys can tell, like very strict, very structured. But I thrived on that. I did really good.
I
But when I
know.
got home, I didn't have that structure. I didn't have that purpose anymore. And I lost my purpose in life. I was like, they're like, everyone's telling me, okay, now it's time for you to like go to school, time for you to start dating, time for you to start doing this stuff. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, I was just saving souls, and now I'm supposed to be focusing on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just lost a lot of sight of who I was. And I kind of went into like this little depression.
And that's how old are you? How old were you when around that time?
I got home when I was 21.
Okay. Right. Perfect timing.
Yeah. And so I went into like a little depression. And that actually led me to start looking for meaning in things that I actually warned people against on my mission.
Oh, really?
And so I would teach people to live clean lives. Like I had lived in like because I had such a happy life, but I started not living a clean life. I actually found myself spiraling into an addiction, even not an addiction of substances, but of women. I was really. That's how I
You
coped.
I mean, I'm not surprising. Like based on how you look, you was like a cute little hot, teenagers that a lot of girls might look up to.
No. But yeah, I don't know. It was really bad for me. I really spiraled. And so it just got worse and worse
Uh-huh.
until I was open about it. At this point, my family knew I was the easy kid to raise. A lot of the people that grew up around me were like, "Oh, Talmage was such a good kid." And it took a while for me to say, "I'm not perfect," and let everybody know this incredibly deep flaw about
So you
myself.
don't want to disappoint your family.
I didn't want to disappoint my family. I didn't want to disappoint the community, or have anybody's perception about me changed. But I knew, like somehow, I just knew deep in my heart that if I wasn't honest about it, it would only get worse.
Yes, I agree to that. Like accountabilities, right? That's we talking over all the time. Be transparency, be accountability,
Yeah, and
and
so when you talk about that, I'm like, yes. I'm always like cheering behind the camera.
no bullshit.
Yeah,
How do you
exactly.
get yourself out of this bullshit?
It, basically, just taking complete ownership, and saying like, "Hey, look, I'm the reason I got into this mess." Like, sure, there's always environmental things that can kind of push you towards bad habits. If you're around bad friends, you're more likely to
Mm-hmm.
pick up
Mm-hmm.
bad habits.
So
But
like you are like five. You are the average of 5%, 5 people that you're around with.
yeah, totally. And the thing is like I was actually hanging around good people, but I myself was putting on a face at that point because
Mm-hmm.
I was in an addiction and I was putting on a face to let everybody know, hey, I'm still good, but I wasn't. And but once I finally came to myself and I opened up to people, I it's funny, a lot of times people will think if I show people my true self,
Mm-hmm.
they won't love me anymore. They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna
Mm-hmm.
judge me.
I mean, that's a lot of mentality that people have. At one time of my life, I was a bullshitter because I don't want people to not love me.
Hmm.
So in order to be loved, just to keep bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, and you just have to keep doing it, and it gets bigger and
Exactly.
bigger,
Yeah.
and so it makes it scarier to share. And so, but once I did,
Uh huh.
um, I received nothing but love from people. My friends, my roommates, my family, like in our religion, it's like this serious thing, but um,
Do you have to go to like do something in like religion's part that to like tell the God that you did something wrong and please forgive me and stuff like that?
so part of the repentance process is confession,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not to. I 100% believe this. It's not to shame anybody. It's not to let everybody see you as like a warning story,
Mm-hmm.
a tale of woe.
Mm-hmm.
It is purely for your benefit. Because once you tell somebody, a huge weight is lifted. And when I told people, a huge weight was lifted, and they still loved me.
Yeah, they love you because of who you are. Don't be like if you're watching this show and I hope this is a lot of teenager because I work with a lot of teenagers and I feel like they want to be the person that somebody else expect them to be. And maybe both of us was part of that, like try to be somebody that some other people expect of me. That's one thing I will tell my kid like always be proud of yourself, be proud of who you are. But one thing that I get it out from your story is this okay? It's okay to make a mistakes,
Yeah, totally.
and like don't make a big of the deal. I think it's like I talked with one of my podcasts, and I maybe it doesn't get sent to you, but I talk about like it's okay to make a mistakes. Like the more mistake you make, the more lesson you're gonna get to learn. There's no way for you to have a perfect life and you
Hmm.
didn't, right? So like there's I mean, you can have as perfect life as you can, but at the end of the day, there's gonna be some things that you make a mistake. There are gonna be some things that you're gonna learn from it. And if you try to be perfect by I will never make any mistakes, it's gonna get you to where you don't learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Because you just keep, bullshit yourself that I'm a perfect person and I never make mistakes.
There's no way to learn from your mistake unless you admit it. And
Exactly.
so, and it was very satisfying to know that like the darkest, deepest parts of me are out in the open, but everyone still loves me. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that you'll be surprised when you open up to people and share the darkest, deepest parts of you, and they still love you. And I recently actually just went through a breakup, and a lot of secrets were told about me that some of them weren't true, but some of them were. And I was like, "Oh man, that's pretty personal." But at this point, I've had a lot of practice being vulnerable, and and I thought about it. I'm like, even somebody that knows the darkest parts about me and tries to ruin my reputation
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
can't hurt me
That's
because
great.
I know who I am now. I love myself,
Uh-huh.
and I have a support team around me, my family, my friends,
Count me
my
in.
God, Pata. And so it's great.
No, I mean, like, people will come to me all the time, like, Pata, there's somebody was talking shit about you. Great. Make them talk more.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Pata, people talking shit about you. And I was like, there was a people like want to apply for a job and like, do you know this person that's talking bad about you? I was like, I don't mind to give them another chance. I don't mind to interview them if they're talking shit about me because they don't know me enough.
Hmm. I love that. I'm a quote junkie. So Lincoln, he says, "I don't like that man, therefore I must get to know him." And
Yeah.
so, and once you get to know people, you're gonna love them.
Exactly. So like people like you don't judge other people. Like if you are the person that's judging other people, stop it because you don't know them enough. You don't know where they have gone in life, where they have gone through and why they become this type of persons. A lot of time you don't like somebody because they're just happy people. But you don't know like back then what happened in their life, or you don't like somebody that they're super positive, but back then it was a negative, like they were super negative and get themselves out of hole, but by making themselves become a person that can survive and happy and live every day just to be positive and be happy, let them do it.
Hmm.
Right, so
Totally.
it's just and if you are one person that being judged, like you basically like need to remind yourself who you are.
Hmm. Totally. And like, if there was only one thing I could add to that, is that for the for a while I wanted people to judge me, um, so that way I'd feel justified in my bitterness towards life, towards God, towards church, towards people in general. And so I was like, man, judge me. but
I don't know what I'm gonna judge you.
but if I was being real about it and I told people, and then all I received was like love, I was just like, if I'm gonna be honest, like I'm getting so much support right now. And I truly believe you'll be surprised with how much people love you when when you're vulnerable with them.
No, I absolutely say the same things. Like I worked my way to the point that because I did exactly the same thing, so scared to not being loved and try to be bullshit about everything to the point that if my worker would come to me and then part time I mess up. That's one thing that okay, what can I help? But if people come to me and start to be like bullshitting, and that's a different story.
Mhm.
Like I would support like people like there's gonna be people that making mistake all the time, and I never be mad. And it's not because they are my family, but they're taking their own accountabilities.
Amen.
Yeah, you're gonna surprise how much people out there would want to support you when you are become real more than become when you are fake.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, I was like, I got to learn about different religions. Like, honestly, when people asking me about religions, I would say like I have no religions. Like you would see a lot of Buddha in my office, and they're all different kind of Buddha. But for me, like I feel like doesn't matter which religion you are. They meant to teach you to become a great person, and it doesn't matter like yours or me as a Buddhist. Like we have something in common. We taught people to be, like become a good people
Yeah.
somehow. Be honest to ourselves. Like my religion talk exactly the same thing. It's just it's just so surprised. Like thank you for my new adventures or I don't know what's that like.
I feel
I feel
very
like my
grateful that I
brain
could be
got
part of
filled
this.
up today.
Thank you. Me too. I've been listening to you, and I'm just like, man, only I had every piece of knowledge that she has. Good thing I'm doing your podcast
Oh,
because
thank you. Like
I'm learning
thanks for
so
helping
much.
me. Thank you. I will see you again New Year's.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pattas Empires. I hope you find it beneficial. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out the next episodes. And stay in touch with Pattas Empire in other platforms. Don't forget, stay humble, stay hungry.